Welcome back to Conversations with Kate and Carrie. We are so glad to have you join us today, and we are excited to have our guest, and we are going to talk about some lovely, because I know our directors love it, some lovely tips for the directors to save their time and to save money and to keep them from being overwhelmed. Prerna Richards, excuse me, I'm going to make those all one word, and they're actually two words, from Together We Grow, is with us today, and we are going to talk about the importance of coaching and coaching for your staff. And I love it because the best thing, I actually read this yesterday, so excuse me for my little tidbit here today, but coaching and training as combined is a difference between learning something at 22% and learning and retaining something at 88%. So directors, if you just heard that, I want you to go back and think about that again. If you're sending your staff to training, they're only getting 22% effectiveness, where if they're getting training and coaching, they're getting 88% effectiveness. So with that, Prerna, tell us a little bit about what exactly you do, how that works in the brain, and then we'll kind of take it from there and enjoy our next 20 minutes with you.
Hi, Kate. Hi, Carrie. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation to come and talk to you and your lovely audience. So I am the CEO and founder of Together We Grow, and I provide 3 services: professional development, which is all brain-based and brain science-based, and my sweet spot, if you like, is challenging behaviors, which is on the increase right now. And then the other thing I do is I'm a behavior coach. I do it in person, I do it online, and I'm also an NAYC consultant. I help programs improve quality by doing mock visits for them, reviewing their portfolios and such. And in your intro, the 22 to 80% is spot on, and I've heard that as well. And I think it's a game changer when we see it from the teacher's perspective, right? So the leadership, when we understand that I'm sending you to your annual required minimum training, 22 hours, 24 hours, 30 hours, wherever you happen to be part-time, full-time, they're not going to retain it. So don't get frustrated with them and recognize that it's happening because that's how the human brain works. We retain so much more when it's shown to us, when it's tailor-made for us in my classroom, in my situation. And so it's a game changer. And, your intro also said that you help directors to reduce overwhelm. What I'm seeing in the field, which I'm sure you guys are seeing it in the field too right now, the overwhelm is huge, the burnout is huge, and the stress levels are huge. So if you are a director and an owner, and you see your staff getting burnt out, and you're wondering, I'm spiraling, what do I do, right? They're not doing their best work because that human, that grown-up is stressed out. You got to do something. You cannot just let it continue because it won't just get better by itself.
So what would you suggest they do? If they were going to start with one thing, we're not even asking for like 25 tips. What's the first thing you would tell a director to do?
The very first thing that I do when I start coaching a program is make them become a breathing program. Game changer, game changer. You don't have to go buy anything. You don't have to do anything. Let me tell you a little bit more about this science behind the deep breathing. So there was a research that came out in 2021 when we were all in the middle of the pandemic and all of our stress levels were off the charts and we didn't know what was going on, right? And what they said was shocking to me. This research said 85% of Americans right now are leading a hectic, fast-paced, stressful life. And we're not taking enough deep breaths. Seeing it written like that was like stark in my face, like, what? Like, seriously? We're not taking deep breaths enough. And the job that we do in early childhood is demanding. It's super demanding and it's super stressful. And if you can't take care of your stress, then you're not going to be able to manage, right? So I'm going to give you 3 specific tips. So the first one is breathing. Become a breathing program. What does that mean? Do it on the schedule. You have to put it as part of your schedule. So if the children are coming in the morning at whatever time, before you put them to nap, tell your teachers to get it on their schedule. 2 breathing breaks, 2 brain breaks before they put them to nap. This can be as transitions, as you hear them going down the hall, as you hear them transitioning, as you hear them at the carpet circle, wherever, weave it in, put it as part of your schedule. It will not happen otherwise. And then 2 more brain breaks after they wake up before you send them home. Super easy. Every time you breathe, take 3 deep breaths. That's it. Put it as part of your schedule, take 3 deep breaths, and we're going to breathe right now. So wherever you are listening to us, take a moment, come back. If you're multitasking, come back, and then let's take a deep breath together. And I know you can't see us, but I'm just going to take a heart breath. So I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to make a heart, and I'm going to put my attention inside. I'm going to send some love to myself, or I'm going to send it to whoever comes in my attention. Let's do that together. Here we go. Let's do it again. Let's really fill up our lungs with oxygen. Let's take a minute to get the oxygen in our brain. Here we go. Third one. How do you feel? I feel fresh. Like I was literally running before this recording. I feel okay now. I feel centered.
I feel like I need to have okay, so one of the things we do is we talk a lot about monkeys. Carrie, we need some monkeys with some little breathing balloons or something. How can we make that happen? We need our monkeys to be breathing. I've got all these little monkeys floating around my little office. See the little monkeys? I need some monkeys that breathe. So if anybody's listening and you can find breathing monkeys, let me know.
Is monkeys your thing? Do you collect monkeys?
Yeah, well, it's become a thing because of the Harvard Business Review article, Not My Circus, Not My Monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
And so teaching directors to recognize monkeys, because they don't usually, they're just like, I need to do this thing. I need to deal with this thing because this teacher needs construction paper, or this child is having a behavior problem, or whatever. And so they're constantly running instead of recognizing the monkey and making a choice.
Yeah.
Am I going to feed this monkey or shoot this monkey? So sometimes then you're going to have to do the craft project without construction paper. So you stop that one.
I've heard Hani say the same thing in a different way in the format of a cup. Like you pick up a teacup. So you listen to their whatever as a leader, they're coming at you and they're dumping all their problems at you. You pick up the teacup, but you are allowed to put the teacup down and move away. You don't have to hold the teacup the whole entire day. So when I heard Hani say that, I was just like, that resonates with me. I don't need to hold this cup anymore. I'm putting the cup down and I'm giving myself permission to put the cup down. Same.
Yeah, we've been using monkeys for 21 years. And the article the Harvard Business Review article is like 1969. This isn't even rocket science or fairly new concept, but we really rewrote the article a lot for directors when we first started doing our director credentialing, which has been 21 years now. And so we've been given and collected a lot of monkeys, and we have directors with monkeys all over the place. I have monkey paper clips. I have Lego monkeys. So we've got.
I use the phrase. I have no monkeys, but I use the phrase. I use the phrase, but you guys have taken it to a new level of monkey. Yeah, so you need breathing monkeys. There you go.
Yes, I need some breathing monkeys because that is definitely something.
Amazon, come on, deliver.
I'm sure somebody will find me a monkey with a balloon. I'm just thinking, or I need just a balloon with a monkey on it that I can blow and give it that visual. So, all right. Okay. I'm
sure it exists.
So you were giving us 3 tips. So we did the first one and then we squirreled.
Yeah, we sure did. And the second tip, as a leader, this is an example that literally just happened yesterday. So I was in a coaching school, and this is a school that I've been working with for a long time, and they had stabilized and everything was going great. And so when I was going this week, it was in San Antonio. When I was going this week, I was thinking, this is going to be an easy breezy visit. They told me things are really good in January. So I'm looking forward to this. But when I arrived there, the director, the owner, and the education director were all overwhelmed and frazzled. So I hadn't even got into the classrooms yet. Just the leadership was losing it. And so what happened? I said to them, what happened? And they're like, we don't know. We got a whole bunch of new kids, and then there's teachers out, and then we're shorthanded, and everybody's losing it. And I'm just like, okay, breathe. So we started with the breathe. And then I said, okay, let's unpack this. And what I helped them. So my point number 2 is know your triggers. What is triggering you is a game changer. If you don't know your triggers, you cannot have a plan. So I'm going to show you 3 specific examples of what these 3 leadership people shared with me were their triggers, because they hadn't even paused to reflect on their triggers. So as all of this is coming out on me, and I was just sitting there like, okay, when it's finished, then we will talk. So she needed to get it all out of her. And the director started, and I said, okay, what is your trigger? She said, there's so many, I can't even tell you. I'm like, no, we're going to begin with 1. Name 1. What is getting you rattled? What is getting you overwhelmed? Name 1. And she said, I can't stand the sentence when people come to say to me, can I talk to you? This sentence has become her trigger now. And I said, okay, now that you recognize that this is your trigger, what are you going to do about it? And she's like, give me a moment. Like she hadn't even recognized that the connecting dots hadn't happened yet.
Yep.
That this sentence was her trigger. And this is why you have to do this work. You have to find out your trigger. So she said, okay, if they come to me, so she literally put a sticky on her computer while we were talking. She said, if they come to me with, can I talk to you for a minute? The sentence on her sticky was, can you reframe that? Because I've just realized this is my trigger. And can you bring a solution with it? She literally wrote that down on her sticky on her computer. Can you reframe that? And can you bring a solution with it? Because I have just learned that this is my trigger. Now she's going to tell her team that this sentence is her trigger, and she needs them to come with a solution. So she needs to practice it. The second, and so of course, time will tell. So I gave her 1 week. So she has homework of 1 week, and she has to tell back is that stress came down. But what she said to me at the end of the day, because I was there for 2 days for the school, what she said to me at the end of the day, she said, Prerna, I'm already feeling better because I know I have a plan. Mm-hmm. So nobody had actually come and said that sentence to her, but knowing that she was getting ahead of it already gave her mind calm. Okay, so the education director, I did the same thing to her. She's like, everybody's just throwing everything at me, and it's all coming at me, and I'm emotionally not able to carry this anymore for them. Okay, what's your trigger? She said the same thing. I have so many. I said, nope, you got to narrow it down. And she said, I'm recognizing that I'm avoiding this hallway on this side, because even if I just walk down that hallway just to go to the bathroom, they stop me and say, can you step in for a minute? I just need some help. They're attacking her as she's walking down the hallway. So she's recognizing that I'm just going to avoid this hallway. I'm going to start using this bathroom. So I said to her the same thing. I said, okay, what are you going to do? How are you going to handle this? She said, okay, the next time I walk down this hall, I'm going to be brave. I'm going to walk down this hall, and I'm going to tell them, right now is not the right time. Go to the front office and request help, and I will come when I can. Right? So she was getting all worked up because even just to do a bathroom stop, she was getting stuff thrown at her. And what was happening when she was stepping in the classroom was the teachers would just back off. They would just leave her with this child who's out of control. And so, can you just help with this? And I need help with this, and I can't deal with this. And she was thinking, I'm going to role model for you. I'm going to support you, but you just dumped this on me and you backed out. So now she's going to address that. So here's the deal. These solutions are not coming from me as a coach. These solutions are coming from within you. But what the coaching does is it helps you to stop, pause, reflect, and come out of the overwhelm. Because when you're in the overwhelmed brain, you can't think. You can't think.
Yeah, the coach's job frequently is not to solve the problem, but to ask you the right question so that you can solve the problem. Because we're from the outside and we can see what the big picture is, and we can go, hey, why is this a problem? My initial, as a director solution to that, if one of my staff had said that is, okay, then you need a way to show people that you can take monkeys right now or you can't take monkeys right now, right? So Mine was, if I had a clipboard, you could give me stuff. If I didn't have a clipboard, you couldn't give me stuff.
Good, tangible, right? Yeah.
Right. But as a coach, it's not the director answer, it's the coach answer, which is, what is your plan going to be, as opposed to giving the resource. It's, instead of being the teacher, which frequently the director is, right? They're the teacher, they're teaching their staff tools and techniques. The coach comes in and says, what is wrong with your, this is a problem with your performance. How can you fix it?
Right.
And asking those questions. Absolutely.
And that's the beautiful thing about coaches. And for directors who are listening, that is the big difference between a coach versus a consultant. So if you've hired a consultant, they're a subject matter expert. They're coming in to tell you what to do. Where a coach comes in and recognizes that you probably already have the answer. And our goal is to help you ask the questions, help you think of your best answer, and help you come up with your solution versus us telling you what we think. Because as a consultant, you pay us because we're the subject matter experts. As a coach, it's a different ball game. So, I mean, speaking of ball games, I'm just going to take a sports coach metaphor. If you think about the number of coaches who they themselves were not elite athletes, but yet they can coach elite athletes, right? So they're going to tell them, they're going to help them through the process of being an elite athlete. That's what a coach is. The consultant is the person who was the elite athlete, who's going to tell you, this is what I did to be the elite athlete. So, so definitely something to think about when you're working with consultants, subject matter experts, coaches, trainers. We all have lots of titles, and some of us, all of us on this call, actually do all of the above. And so sometimes we'll even stop and go, which hat do you want us wearing? We've entered into a coaching agreement. Yeah. However, you're wanting me to give you the answer. I'm not gonna. Right? I want you to work through the answer yourself. So again, we've gotten to 2. We've gotten to breathing. We've gotten to know your triggers. What's our third?
Yeah. So thank you for separating the 2. And I think that's super helpful for somebody listening. If you're wondering about consulting and coaching, which route is yours. So the number 3, the 3-1, is find your little wins. So what I said to them was, because they're spiraling and because they're overwhelmed, they have to see that what they're doing is making a difference. So find your little wins. And so I told them to put a whiteboard. And so I went in as a behavior coach, but this 2 days that I spent in the school had so little to do with the children's behaviors, but we did this deep work with the teachers. We did this deep work with the leadership. And I didn't even tell you the owner's trigger. Her trigger was that tardiness was happening. And she said, first she said, I can't even, again, the same thing. I think the overwhelmed brain says, I don't know what my triggers are because there's so many. But when she narrowed it down, she said, what's really frustrating to me, and she used that word, she said, I'm not going to say the word, but she used the P word. And she said, I feel so ticked about this because I just spoke to somebody on Friday and that person was tardy, and Tuesday that person is tardy again. And I am so sick and tired of this because as an owner, I am showing up for you all. I'm not dropping any balls because, she has 250 enrolled children in her school. It's a big program, right? And she's like, I'm not dropping the ball. You're depending on me, but I can't depend on you. And I'm sick and tired of this. And so again, I said to her, she said, what are you going to do about it? And she said, my instinct is to write her up. And I said, okay, that's a reactive instinct. You're feeling frustrated right now and you want to write her up. The write up is not going to help you. It's just going to continue. Somebody else will do it and you'll just continue. Yep. And so instead of that, I said, try to think about what else can you do? And she said, okay, maybe I need to go back and have a conversation with them. And I said, yes, and tell them that this is triggering me. I'm feeling I asked her, I said, well, how does that make you feel? Let's go to the emotion. How does that make you feel? And she says, I feel disrespected, to be honest. I feel ignored, to be honest. Hello, you. And those were her words and those were her feelings. I'm feeling ignored and I'm feeling disrespected. And I said, great. go and have a follow-up with that team member and be honest and transparent and say, what was your perspective from that conversation we had on Friday? What did you walk away from that conversation on Friday? Listen to her perspective and then tell her your perspective. My perspective was, I thought we had resolved it. Now I'm feeling ignored and I'm feeling disrespected. This relationship, this professional relationship cannot work if I don't feel respected. What are we going to do about it? Right? So put it back on that. And it was funny because I texted her at the end of the day when I got home from San Antonio, how was your follow-up conversation? And she says, it went really well. I feel so much better and I'm carrying less burden because I talked it.
Okay, Kate, you have to say something so that anybody on the video can see what we're seeing and why we're laughing.
So my son's cat decided that I was going to make a really good cat tree today, and he jumped up in the middle of the presentation to come sit on my shoulders. And usually he does that in steps, and that was the first time he ever just jumped up on my shoulders. And I was trying really hard to not laugh and
yes, all of us were,
and be shocked. So okay, I'm glad I was wearing a denim shirt. And I think he knows that because he only ever does that if I'm wearing like a denim shirt or a sweatshirt. But usually he like climbs. And so anyway, anybody who's watching or listening might.
And visually, he was not only on your shoulder, he was wrapped around your head. So visually, it was like the whole tail head thing was around your head. So it was hilarious.
So for those of you who don't know, there is a YouTube channel you can go watch and see Kate with a cat on her head. Well, actually, you might not be able to see it until she talks. But
oh, that's funny. That was funny.
Okay, so
look,
just real quick, because I know what time it is, and I know Carrie, you had another call. So if you ever need to jump off, Carrie, just you know,
I'll just
either
disappear.
mute yourself or whatever. Oh my
God. This is going to be the video that people watch. Just
because you asked, is this going to be video? And this has never happened before, Prerna. This has never happened.
Usually he sits on, there's a chair. There's a chair, and usually he just sits on the chair. And we always talk about, I joke that he's a very lazy coworker, and my son's like, well, I will talk to him about his performance. Well, today he gets to have a whole other conversation. So speaking of, employee coworkers and, things that might be triggers. Anyway, sorry.
Inaction.
Sure that, so we've gotten through 1, 2, and 3, and I'm so glad that
through all this we got there. Yeah, through all this we got there. It's really important. So really the number 3, because we didn't talk long about it, what I said to the leadership team and to the classrooms that I had coached that day, because there were 5 that we had worked with, and we had done the deep work with the 5 classrooms. And a lot of the work that I did was labeling your feelings, identifying your triggers, because what happens in the classroom sometimes is when the teacher is triggered by that child. I'll give you a quick example of why this is important to find the wins with the teachers. So this teacher, the minute she walked into the room, she just said, I'm so stressed out. I'm overwhelmed. I'm just absolutely exhausted. I can't anymore. I just can't anymore. I'm like, okay, what is your trigger? And she said, she named these 2 kids. And I said, what do you know about these 2 kids? And she said, enough that they don't listen to me and drive me crazy. And I said, beyond that, what do you know about these kids? And she could not tell me any personal information about these kids. So why is that important? When you have not connected, all you're doing is correcting. When you're only correcting, whether you're a leader or whether you're a teacher, if the only thing the children hear you is correcting, don't do this, don't come here, sit down, turn around, wash your hands, eat your snack, finish, blah, 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 it's behavior talk. If only you're doing behavior talk and you're not connecting, those kids will become your triggers. And the spiral is so fascinating to watch. The more you trigger me, the more I don't connect with you, the more I label you, because my brain goes to overwhelm. And so her homework for this week is to bond with this child and to connect with this child. And you should have seen her face when I said that. Your homework is to connect. And she knew just like I had poured cold water over her. She was just like, how am I going to do that? I'm like, you're going to play with her. You're going to play with her. Not going to direct her play. You're not going to just tell her what to do. You're going to join the play and you're going to hold your instructions. That's all I want you to do. Join her in play. Even that seemed overwhelming to her. And so going back to the note of the write your wins for the day, my homework for them is before they leave the campus, they need to write everybody in that 5 classrooms and the 3 leadership people, what made you joyful today? What brought you joy today? We're going from stressful to joyful. What brought you joy today? And with those children that are triggering you, those children that you haven't bonded and connected with, what was specifically that you did? And that really did seem like the hardest homework I was giving them by their faces. It was just literally like, Prerna, you're torturing us.
Yeah, because this is a job where we get to play for a living. And when we get wrapped up in the overwhelm, we forget that silly, ridiculous, goofy, and cute things happened throughout the day. If we're caught up in overwhelm, we've got to take that time and remember, this is an amazing job. People just walk up to you and give you art. No lawyer is doing his lawyer job and somebody just walks up and gives them art.
Or hugs.
My husband, software designer, nobody walks up to him in his day job and just randomly gives him art. People don't just walk up and hug his leg. Like the things that we get.
It'd be weird if it did.
To make sure that people
it would be a little weird. It would definitely be a little weird if they did.
So Carrie, you brought up something just really important. We forget and we get caught up in it. One of the examples that I had in that school in the infant classroom, there were 4 teachers. So already you have amazing ratios. 4 teachers in an infant classroom. Are you kidding me? But the 4 of them are not getting along. 4 of them are not getting along. And that was part of the leadership stress. So these two are sitting in the place of I'm hurt, I'm not being seen and heard, I'm just emotional stress. These 2, stop talking about the feelings so much. Why do we care about people's feelings? We're just here to do our job. Let's just do our job. You're not a machine. You're not working with machines. You're working with humans. And the 4 of you are not connecting. And the 2 of you are triggering each other. You 2 are feeling very sensitive and you 2 are feeling very aggressive. And the 2 are stressing each other out. And this was part of the leadership stress. So yeah, dynamics in a classroom become the leadership stress. The dynamics in, oh, this was the best part. One of the infant teacher who was just like, I'm in there to do my job. I'm just in there and doing it. I don't even care. I'm like, you're not a machine. And she says, but the children don't feel it. I'm like, you are lying to yourself.
So I think on that note, because that could be a whole other episode, but on that note, I am going to pull us back in because one of the things, because you brought it up and you made a great statement, which is stressful to joyful, and which I actually think is the name of your upcoming mastermind.
Yes.
So I just want to, I'm going to put the big plug out there. So March 25th on a Saturday, Prerna's got a great mastermind. And so when you are listening, go back, look at the show notes. We're going to have the links to register for that event. We are excited to share that event. We'll be posting about it on in our Child Care Conversations group on our page. We hope that you all will go learn. It's free. That's even a better price, right? You know, you got to love that price.
And just for registering, you're getting a download. You're getting 10 tips to go from stressful to joyful. So you'll walk away with 10 tips and you'll get a recording. So
great. And if you guys are listening, it'll end up in Carrie. So Carrie, make a note. It'll end up in Carrie's Freebie Fridays on March 17th. So make sure that you're on our newsletter list to get the registration and all the information on March 17th. And we are so excited that we were able to have today's guest, and hopefully we'll have her back. And maybe we will do some classroom dynamics or teacher dynamics in a classroom, and how that really does affect both the director and the teacher. And thank you so much for joining us. And Carrie, do you want to tell them what they need to do?
Leave a comment, reviews on your social media, or not on your social media, on your podcast listening app, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you do. If you leave reviews, then that helps other people know that there's some value here. So please go ahead and write a review. If you do, screen capture it, send it to kate@texasdirector.org, and she will get you a free t-shirt that says that you're a superhero, because you are.
I want a superhero t-shirt. That sounds
We will
amazing.
get you one. What size do you want?
Okay, well, yeah, medium is
You want a
great.
V-neck or a crew neck?
We sounds amazing. Look at you guys just doing good stuff out there, giving freebies. Of course, we want a t-shirt. Thank you guys for this opportunity, and I hope it helps whoever's listening. You got this. Look, your work is important. You're doing amazing work. Keep going, and you're not alone. Look, you belong to an early childhood community. Lean in, get help. You are with these lovely people. There's a lot of help available.
Okay, see you next week, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. We love bringing you real talk and fresh insight from the world of early childhood education. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all of the latest episodes. And if you're planning a conference, training, or special event, Kate and Carrie would love to speak to your audience. You can learn more about their keynote sessions and workshops at kateandcarrie.com. If you learned something today, share the show and leave us a review below. We'll see you next time on Child Care Conversations.